And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Monday, May 26th. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down Game 4, Oklahoma City and Minnesota. Wolves coming off the drubbing in Game 3, beat the hell out of the Thunder, but now we're back, and this will be the swing piece, because if OKC wins here, this one is over. If the Wolves win here, we've got a fun series in the West. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's going on, everybody? We back. I thought I had one last night. Turns out I'm not Greg. Had the second best lineup in the mini max last night, which is usually awesome. Not yesterday. Didn't get me where I needed to be. That's for sure. Pulling it up now just so I can show you guys the dub from our boy Greg. Whoops. I keep clicking on the wrong spot on my window, and I don't know why that's doing that. All right, perfect. So if we look at actual finish here, we'll find him somewhere. Greg. There he is. Right here. Greg Ehrenberg. First place in the mini-max yesterday, along with like 20 other Stokastic subs that I saw. Towns in the captain, Halliburton, OG Anunoby, Miles Turner, Mitchell Robinson, TJ McConnell. I, unfortunately, am sitting here in 36th. The next lineup up right here, Halliburton, Towns, Anunoby, Turner, Mitchell Robinson, and McConnell. So the difference between Towns in the captain and Halliburton in the captain was the swing piece there. Bummer, but, you know, we'll do what we can. But we did pick up a win. And where's my boy? Where's the man in chat that's going to let me know that the sim ROI was negative? Because today, it's not. That's neither here nor there. Yesterday was interesting because, at least at the midway point of this game, it felt like the Knicks were done. Pacers went on that run. They were up 20. The Knicks, everybody was bitching and complaining. Brunson had 4 and Towns had a bunch of fouls, and they looked completely dead. And then they weren't. Now, to me, I look at this as another game and another success for a team that has just been stepping in shit the entire time. This Knicks team is one of the weirdest playoff runs that I can remember, because they kind of only ever win when the other team sucks at shooting. Yesterday, Indiana Pacers, 2 for 25 from 3, 1 of 6 from the corner, 4 of 19 above the break. What happens when the Knicks just face a team that shoots average from 3? They don't win. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know how to use that information going forward. But again, this was another spot where I just seemed like the Pacers were going to get that. Didn't need too many other shots to fail or to fall. Like if they're 7 of 25 from 3 instead of 5 of 25, that's a tie game and they're still shooting 28%. So I don't know. I greatly prefer the Pacers here. I think the Knicks are largely fraudulent in terms of real teams. Like, they're clearly good. They're clearly better than most. But they're not this. I mean, it took 12 minutes of DeLon Wright, 12 minutes of Landry Shamet after an entire season of not wanting to play these guys. You break in case of emergency, all of these dudes, and it sort of works. You can't expect that long term. There's a reason they're Landry Shamet and DeLon Wright. Here's the thing that I'm most interested in this series, and it's the thing that I think is holding the Knicks back the most. And to be fair, the Pacers do have a bit to do with this, but it's this stat right here. Off of any missed field goal, which should be exceptional transition situations, the Pacers take 10.5 seconds per possession The Knicks take 13. The Knicks are just so slow getting into their offense. Now, part of that is the fact that the Pacers are just all over them. So, to a degree, I could understand it a bit. But the slower you are to get into your offense, the less opportunity you have to find a better shot. Because if you're not getting into it quickly and your first read fails, you're now looking at a situation where you've got like 6 on the shot clock and you're probably barfing up something that you don't like. And, spoiler alert, shot quality data for the Knicks yesterday was poor. So was the Pacers, let's be clear. But, the Knicks were not getting good looks. A couple more went in over the Pacers. But I just don't see what the Knicks have for them in this series. It's very weird. What did I want to look at there? Yeah, right. Like I've talked about this before. And it's very startling to me to see it. Get cleaning the glass pulled up. The Knicks net rating in the playoffs is barely positive. They are 9-6 in the playoffs right now with a plus 0.1 net rating. That's really hard to do. Indiana's at 4.7. Let's not forget they played Cleveland. Oklahoma City's at 10.5, and they still went to a 7-game series with the Nuggets. Like, I think the talent level of this point differential is in line with what we know, and this just sticks out like a sore thumb. But they continue to get it done, and I want to make sure everybody understands the way that I'm talking about this. Winning is the only thing that matters. I don't think it's as predictable. Like, we're going to look at a series and we're like, well, the Knicks were up 3-1 against the Celtics. We put too much weight into the result of an individual game. That's not meant to invalidate the Knicks, like, their actual outcomes. It's been fantastic. They're getting it done. They're in this series. They're alive. They're one of the 2 teams left in the East. But if we're talking about it in terms of predictability, looking forward, the wins and losses are irrelevant. They carry no weight when trying to figure out what we think is going to happen in the future. We know this. You could look at any data source anywhere in all of time for all of sports. Looking at a team's actual scoring, the points they're giving up on a per possession basis, these net ratings, way more predictable of future success than binary wins and losses. So when I talk about this kind of stuff, I don't particularly care about the results. That's a fan's outlook. This is a DFS / sports betting / pick'em / whatever show. My goal is to figure out how I can best figure what's going to happen in the next game. And right now, I just don't think the Knicks are very good. I want to take a look at some of the defensive matchups yesterday. For example, when Towns was the primary offensive player, we got Miles Turner in that matchup. I don't like that matchup at all. And it shows. 36 points scored in 29 partial possessions, 8 of 12 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line, or 3 of 4 from 3. You got Siakam on the other side of that matchup, but I just don't like Turner on Towns. I don't like it. Because if you're spacing out Turner defensively to guard Towns anywhere other than, like, you're putting the rest of your defense in a negative position, I think. Went a little bit better for Siakam in this spot, but I would be trying to get away from that. Who else is going to guard him? Anyone? You're sending a second the moment he puts the ball on the ground. But it's probably got to be more Siakam so that you can have Turner as help. Because if you don't have Turner as help, then you don't have help. That's the tricky part here. The key is what happens after he beats the first guy. That's all of these matchups. What happens when the first guy gets beat? How do you recover from that? The problem is, I don't know where you go. Like now that they've changed the starting lineup, then it's just to me, I'll pull it up here. Miles Turner and Tony Bradley were the other primaries onto Mitchell Robinson. I'm just not getting Siakam, or I'm just not getting Turner in that matchup against Towns as much as I possibly can. I think it really hurts the second line of defense. Because if Toppin is out on the floor in a situation where Turner is guarding Towns, you're dead. Because no one's protecting the rim. There's no one worse at it than Obi Toppin. Siakam's, call him like above average at it. So like he kind of helps in a help situation. But not a lot. Because if I'm looking at you guys will love this. Does this? I don't want to do that. All right, good enough. Let me move this over here. Perfect. Here's the Obi Toppin interior defense values. Rim protection, D-. Rim deterrent, F. It's almost like he invites people to go to the rim. It really does not get much worse than that right there. Let's not forget, this man is 6'9", 220, and can jump out of the gym. And no one gives a shit if he's anywhere near the rim. It just doesn't compute in my head. But then you look at this guy, A+ rim protection, B rim deterrent, A help defense, even B+ post defense. This is a guy that I want to be able to help off of someone and stop whoever just got into the paint at the rim. And I don't think you can do that if you're matching up on Towns as much as you are. Because it's just moving you out of the place we need you to be more often than not. It's just that they're really missing a second real defender. Like what they really need is Obi Toppin to be the opposite of what he is. Who would be that guy? I mean, like to a degree, it would be better for them if Obi Toppin was PJ Tucker. But that's a bad example because PJ Tucker defensively is miles ahead of where Obi Toppin is offensively. But if his skill set was flipped, I think that would be a lot better for the Pacers. Part of the reason I don't think he's going to be on the Pacers next year. But I want to get this guy to help more because he's one of the best guys that can do it. And we'll see what that happens and what that looks like for game 4. Because if you can get to Towns and get in his head, I mean, for the most part, it worked. And then the fourth quarter, everything started to fall. And then you got to pray that Aaron Nesmith isn't going to have any issues with his ankle when he wakes up today. Because that dude's essential. He is an A, 94th percentile in navigating ball screens. A+. as an off-ball chaser. At least 70th percentile perimeter ISO guy. They need him desperately in this matchup to check Brunson. Because when Nesmith can be there, that can clog it up. When it's Nembhard, if Nesmith's not around, everybody falls down a peg to pegs they shouldn't be at. Because while this looks great for Nembhard, he is exceptional defensively. The problem is he's not big enough for the matchup. And that's where we can get lost sometimes. Because in most matchups, you're going to be very happy to have Andrew Nembhard guarding a ball handler, trying to fight through screens, getting into passing lanes. But in this spot, it's a lot worse for him. Jalen Brunson knows he can take him. So I hope they give Aaron Nesmith all the treatment in the world on that ankle today and make sure that that didn't blow up after the game, because that would be a big swing for me. I think that's probably enough on last night's game. If anybody has any questions, feel free to hit me with them. But now, let's talk about game 4, OKC Minnesota. I actually this is the only game that I haven't watched almost in full in the past week and a half. All these single day games, or the major games in the end of the other series. But I went back and watched the condensed version of the first half just to try to get an eye on it. Ultimately, I don't think that's all that interesting. It should come as no surprise that I expect Oklahoma City to win this game. 3-point favorites on the road. They are significantly better than the Minnesota Timberwolves. And it's really just all going to come down to, can they make a couple shots? We have 2 guys pulling massive captain ownership right now on DraftKings. That's Shea and it's Ant. Ant at 23, Shea at 29. Shea is 18K in the captain spot. Ant is at 16.8. So you save 1,200 there. I got to a little bit more Shea, but I don't see those guys as all that different. And if I'm being honest, I think Ant is probably the better option. And then we have one other guy in double digits, which is Jalen Williams, 14-1 in the captain spot, projected for 14% ownership. I got to 18. And then you've got this pack of Randall and Chet, who are both around 6. Randall a little bit more expensive than Chet. I'd argue I slightly prefer Chet on paper. And then I don't really have a take on your Dort, Alexander Walker, Wallace, McDaniels, Reed guy. They're all 2%ers. Clearly they can show up in lineups. Steven, you can make that one look a little bit better if you add in Nesmith, Time Lord, number 1s, Marcus Smart for Drew, KP, and 2 firsts or whatever it ended up being. But yeah, I mean, they would never put Nesmith on the floor. It was weird. And he would be a guy that would be very useful to them, especially at his contract number. Because what did the Pacers brought him back at 11 or 12 or something like that? I mean, he makes stupid low money. Yeah, this was the first year of a 3-year, $33 million contract. He makes 11 next year and 11 in 26-27. That's one of the best contracts in the league. If you just made him a free agent this offseason, he's probably making 25 to 30 million. Yeah. Guys that can guard 1 to 3.5 and shoot some threes, those guys get paid. But he's probably making 25, 30 if he does that. So, great contract for Indy. They're going to need it. They need every single dollar they can save because those dickheads won't ever pay the tax. Let's not forget, they have not paid the luxury tax since 2005. I was 20 then. I'm 40 today. So not optimistic in the Pacers' long-term future, but we'll get away from that for right now and get back to what I think is a very uneventful captain situation. Because everybody knows that, Shea and Ant are the priorities. They're in half of the lineups that have a captain spot. And everybody knows that Jalen Williams, Julius Randle, and Chet are the next three guys on the list. And then everybody else falls into the exact same bucket. Where I think it gets more interesting is the flex. And we could look at the guy I'm most over the field on, at least to start, and that's Isaiah Joe. $1,200, so $200 above the minimum. Currently projected for 16% ownership. I got 27. Isaiah Joe started the second half over Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, certainly that has a lot to do with the fact that you're getting beat by a bundle. At the time, at halftime, they were down by 31. So you're hoping that Isaiah Joe can make some threes. That's why that happened. That is not a lineup change that I think is permanent, but played 17 minutes. Do I expect him to play 17 minutes today? No, I don't. Do you need 17 minutes out of a $1,200 Isaiah Joe? No, I don't think you do. But at $1,200, I got a hard time thinking he's not my preferred value option. Unless you prefer $3,600 Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I am also slightly over the field on, but he is 27% owned already, not the 16 that we're getting from Isaiah Joe. How do you guys feel about Isaiah Joe as a value option today? Like right now, we have Isaiah Joe projected for 11 minutes. I think that's the guy I'm trying to get to. But you get good value out of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You get solid value out of a $4,800 Caruso. But I don't think I want any sort of Jalen Williams with a Y. They don't seem to want to use him a lot in this series. He did get a rotation in the first half last time out. Was productive-ish in 3 minutes. You've got Aaron Wiggins at the flat 1K. I'd say he would probably be the guy I would earmark second for value, because it's just one of those situations where he could always fall into some extra minutes. But Aaron Wiggins is 25% owned, whereas Isaiah Joe right now is 16. I don't think those guys should have that sort of gap. So if it exists by the time we get to lock, that's fascinating to me, and I expect to still have Joe. If it doesn't exist at that point in time, it becomes a different kind of conversation, because those two dudes are like DFS interchangeable. My biggest fade at the flex, however, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, part of that is self-imposed. I'm over the field on Shai at captain. It's hard to get over the field on a 50% owned guy at the flex, so I am a little bit lighter there. It would be better for me for Shai to just be the captain. However, the other fade that I have that's pretty sizable is Rudy Gobert. 6,600, projected for 23% ownership. I have 15. Now, I'll be honest, I don't like this one. I am of the belief that this series is better for Minnesota when Rudy Gobert is on the floor. Rudy Gobert played 28 minutes in game 3, including the entire third quarter. A third quarter where he was +6, made both of his shots, had a couple of rebounds, blocked a shot. So I like Gobert. And I don't like my exposures. And I really hope that those exposures change by the time this day ends, because I am a believer in Rudy Gobert in this series. A little bit lighter on Dort and Cason Wallace. I don't have much of a take there. I'd argue that I I'd be a little bit more interested in Dort than Wallace, given the price. Dort 3,200, Wallace 4K. That said, I still have 23 and 29% of both of them, so there's not much going on there. But those are the big swing pieces for me. SGA at the flex because I'm over at the captain. Rudy Gobert as a fade that I don't like. Isaiah Joe as a stand that I do like. I don't expect OKC to do anything weird with their rotation. Obviously, I don't expect Minnesota to do anything weird with their rotation. We did get the 4-minute and 10-second stretch out of Terrence Shannon in the second quarter. 3 of 5 from the field, 3 of 3 from the line, and a steal. Do I think he's going to play? Of course. I would expect him to get 6 minutes, something like that. As a value option, could absolutely be a guy you want to go to. He is currently projected for essentially no ownership. And the reason because of that is he got priced up. He's 2K now. So it becomes a lot harder to want to click on Terrence Shannon's name at 2K when Isaiah Joe is sitting there at 1,200 and when Aaron Wiggins is sitting there at 1K. But you do expect a couple minutes out of Terrence Shannon. It's just much harder. He has to beat both of those guys to be valid. And he kind of has to do it by like a little bit more because of the prices, especially for Wiggins. What do you guys like today? Where do you guys land? What are you guys seeing? Who wins? That's what I want to know. Let me hit you guys with the schedule while I wait for chat to pop in. We've got me right now. We've got Laffy and Eric. MLB live before lock at 12:15. And then all the way to 8 p.m. Myself, Greg Ehrenberg, live before lock. And then playback potentially. I would have loved to hop on playback last night. I was exhausted after the weekend. I didn't even see the fourth quarter. I went back and watched it this morning. But yeah, playback tonight. If it's a close game, I'll hop on for the fourth quarter. Otherwise, the game will be on. If anybody wants to watch it, sign up through playback. Get a discount code at Stokastic if you need it. Let's see. Rough Buff says McDaniels Day. Chino says J-Dub captain. Nas is a lottery ticket. Dort overdue for a spike game. That's sort of in my mind as well. I said it before game 3 that I don't really love this series for McDaniels. It kind of worked out for him in that series. I'm going to go back to thinking that I don't love it for him. Right now, I'm dead neutral, and that's fine by me. Maybe we'll build a lineup or two. Because if I'm being honest, I don't know if I have too many additional takes for this series. So let's see what we can actually build for one of these main contests. We'll start on the DraftKings side. All right, at the captain spot. I do slightly prefer Ant. The value on Julius Randle is dreadful. I kind of want to go J-Dub. And if I do that, then I'm going to go Ant. And I'm going to go Chet. And I'm going to go Caruso. And if I fill that out, it gives me Wiggins and Randall. 4-2 OKC, $100 on the table. Let's see it. I think it's going to be positive. No Shea might hurt me, but hey, 21, I'll take it. The cutoffs are way lower for Showdown, so I'll take 21%. J-Dub captain, Wiggins, Caruso, Edwards, Chet, and Randall. If I take out Wiggins and Randall, is there a slightly better option somewhere? Because Wiggins is the best value, but he pulls too much ownership. If I take Joe, it probably doesn't give me Randall. It gives me McDaniels and 2,100. Yeah, this will be negative. It's weird how that salary matters. I wonder if Shannon and Randall would work. Yeah, negative 72. That's way too much left on the table. If I go Randall, the highest projected guy is Wiggins. Nah, that's not the path. Well, that value is just such dog shit. If I take Shannon, what can I get at 9,100? Is there anything? No, it's McDaniels. Yeah, I don't like that. What if I pull Caruso and then take Randall? That gives me, is that Dort then? We'll see this one. This could be positive. I don't know if the Shannon, I think Shannon might be too bad of a value. Yeah, it's the Shannon value piece. You just have to be a bigger believer in his minutes. But we hit what we needed in the first one. Let's see what FanDuel looks like. Now, FanDuel MVP. I don't know. That's an interesting balance. I mean, Shea and Ant are essentially equals. But Shea is just so much more owned at the captain spot that it makes me want to take Ant. Yeah, I'm going to take Ant there. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing I did for DraftKings. We'll take J-Dub. We'll take Ant. This time I'll take McDaniels. And then Dort. And I complete with Chet and Caruso. I will be very surprised if this lineup isn't positive. Have I ever been on a cruise? No. And I never would. Yeah, I was assuming I just built the nuts there, and that's pretty damn close. Now, I wouldn't go on a cruise if I got paid a lot of money. And we will ignore the reason that I wouldn't go on is the fact that I can't do boats. But even if I loved boats, you couldn't pay me to go on a cruise. I can't think of a worse place to be in life than on a cruise ship. 54% positive ROI. J-Dub MVP, Dort, McDaniels, Edwards, Chet, Caruso. Nailed that one. Straight out of the gate. Don't forget, Nightbot just dropped the link. 7-day free trial, Portfolio EV. Anytime you're looking for it. If you've never signed up at OddsShopper before, you want to put some bets down, this is the thing you're looking for. I'll pull it up right now to see what we have available for right now. We take a market-based approach to beating the books. From the NBA side, we've only got 2 available, but they're both really good. 4% expected EV on Alex Caruso, under 3s on ProfitX. 5% expected value, under 4.5 assists for J-Dub. But it's not just basketball. You've got hockey bets out there right now, a saves prop on FanDuel. We've got baseball props loaded everywhere. Bo Bichette, total hits, 6 odd shopper rating. Jaren Duran, you want him to homer? Plus 640 on ProfitX? Great bet. Do I watch pro wrestling? Yes, I do. If you guys want to use OddsShopper to grab some bets, maybe you want to use OddsShopper to automatically build a parlay, you could do that. Here's Bo Bichette, total hits. Ramon Urias, total hits. That parlay's a 12% EV. bet them solo, combine them, bet a little bit less. Use the tools in the best possible way. Mass betting, mobile betting, whatever you're looking for, we've got it. I can't think of a worse way to spend your crowns than to go on a cruise. What a waste of money. Do literally anything else. Oh, God, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. Surely they have something better than a cruise. Is it a private cruise? Because that would change it for me. If no other human beings were out there with me. Anything else you guys want me to touch on? Because right now, I think we have wrung this game dry. Don't forget, live before lock later tonight, 8 p.m. This game tips off at 8:30. OKC wins this one, goes up 3-1, then goes home, destroys these dudes. Then they sit back, relax, and wait for whichever East idiot's going to show up to get smacked too. And then we can crown the true champs, team that deserves it the most this season. And all will be right with the world. How do I feel about Mike Conley? I mean, I think it's a Mike Conley series. I said that before game 3. He is one of the few people that can be out there and organize their offense in any way. He has been an asset in this series so far in a way that most of these guys haven't. You know, if we want to take a look at this. All right, so today is game 4, which means, what's today? 26. So that was 3, 2, 1. Mike Conley on the floor so far this series. Plus 31 overall. Plus 20 per 100 possessions. I mean, when Mike Conley has been on the floor, things have gone quite well for Minnesota in this series. 125 offensive rating. Now, 63% true shooting is unsustainable. They've been hot. 41% from 3. 52% shot quality. But still, even if you want to discount that and regress those shooting numbers a little bit, still very positive. Defensively, 105 defensive rating. That's great. Teams are shooting 35%. Little lucky, nothing crazy. 54.5% true shooting. Here's the only problem. The shot quality has been significantly better for OKC than it has been for Minnesota when he's out there. But there's just that organizing factor about having a guy out there that knows where to be and knows how to do the right things. So I'm a believer in Mike Conley. The tricky part is just, is his old ass body able to do what we need? Ken, they only play 7 other guys. So, like, 4 of those 7 dudes are out there with him no matter what. It's not like they're going deep into their bag of tricks. He's kind of just going to play with everybody. I mean, when Conley's been on, it's 60 minutes of Randall, 55 of McDaniels, 50 of Edwards, 45 of Gobert. You know, he's not out there with DiVincenzo all that frequently, but that makes sense. But I mean, they all just play with the same people pretty much. Unless they're the opposite position, like DiVincenzo to Conley. I got to sneeze. One and done, which was pretty annoying. I felt like I had a second one in the chamber there. But yeah, I mean, I think they kind of need Conley. I also don't know if it's going to matter. That's sort of where I land. Check out all the content. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Follow all things Stokastic. Sign up for Sims using the link in the description. Baseball's here. Day baseball. Memorial Day. Live before lock at noon. If you're not playing baseball, Sign up at Stokastic if you want to get the sims before that. And tonight, live before lock, myself and Greg. Good luck, y'all. It's good to see you guys again. We're back tomorrow, Game 4, Knicks Pacers. I know people will be a lot more excited for that one. I know I will as well. But the Minnesota Timberwolves happen to win today. We will be very excited on Wednesday for Game 5. Good luck, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Hit that like button on your way out the door.